the extraordinary general meeting of Fairlight Parish Council. Just for people's update, an extraordinary general meeting can be called when there is no other planned meeting for that. Okay? I can call it alone, or two councillors can call it if they so wish. The reason that we've called the meeting is we haven't got a planned meeting in December for the Parish Council, and there's quite a bit we needed to get done. Stephen's already signed the cheque for us, so Lynn's got to do the same, and we've got one or two bits on here which we really need to get on and get dealt with. Okay? So that maybe that will clear up two bits and pieces that are floating around. Right, the chair will invite members. No, good idea. The chair will invite members of the public to comment or ask questions on any matters in respect of the business on the agenda. Anybody got any questions? Excellent, Joe. Thank you very much.
Enthusiasm in the notes.
Right, so we call the apologies for absence, same from Councillor Pitchard, Councillor Whiteman and Councillor Mear. The reasons for absence are holiday, work and not very well. Code of conduct, number 3, code of conduct, disclosure of interest, to receive any disclosure of members of personal prejudice or interest in matters of the agenda. Members are reminded to repeat their declaration immediately prior to commencement of the item in question and or complete the declaration of interest form. We do have declaration of interest forms which were filled in many years ago, but we've now come to the point where declare an interest if you have it at the front. If you forget, please declare it at the time or that point that you're speaking. Okay. Right, to consider and approve the signing of the chair of the attached minutes. The attached minutes weren't sent. Okay. Right, the Finance and Administration meeting held on the 2nd of July. I'm not signing that unless Councillor Baker or Councillor Cook agree that they are correct. There's no other councillor who's there. We were in the audience, but it would be wrong for me to do that, to sign it, if you don't agree.
I've got those with me. Have you got them with you?
I have got
Are you going to read that now then?
Okay. I just want to make sure. See that.
Okay. Well, I'll move on to the one, the Finance and Admin meeting for the 12th of November. We were all there. Happy that we signed that one?
Yes.
Okay. And the full Parish Council meeting held on the 26th of November.
There are a couple of things that I've picked up, just typos.
Yeah, okay.
Under item 8, I think is the correct name of Future Homes South?
Yes.
Okay, because it's the other way round, so maybe.
Oh, because I spoke to Gem Selection, they said it was Future South Homes.
I think it is.
There's lots.
They could have both companies.
Probably both exist.
What minutes was that one, Michael?
That's under item 8. The first one, Clark emailed Future South Homes. Normally, I thought it would be Future Homes South. It's usually, when they do that sort of thing, it's usually in brackets, South, isn't it? And then there's limited or whatever.
There's a few of them. The latest one is Future South Homes Limited, not to be confused with Future Homes South East Limited. So it looks like it's Future South Homes Limited.
Okay. Do you want to amend that before I put it back?
Yeah, that was incorporated. Yes, the right one, because that was incorporated in
Okay.
22. So it must be the latest one. Future South Homes.
Yeah, it does. Okay.
And just for clarity, item 12,
Yeah.
at the end of the first line, path going into, perhaps we should put it in Knollwood for anyone who's not familiar.
installed.
You say item 12, Michael?
Item 12, yeah. It's under footpath 34. I just think it might just clarify things for those who maybe don't know.
Second. Got second. Thank you. Right, I've signed that as being changed.
There was one little thing.
Yeah, go on.
I think that's a report where, I think I sent it over to you and then it got corrected, where it had been put down that I thought there'd be a saving of 1,400, but it was down as 1,400.
It's on the finance meeting one, yeah? Right,
Yes.
let me sign this one first.
I thought that was.
That's that one. Which one is it, Jack? Which
I thought it was on the 12th. I thought.
on the 12th?
Yeah, it's on the 12th.
That one there? Budget was approximately
Yeah.
1,400.
Should
Right.
be 14,000.
Yeah, okay.
Such a difference.
Right. So are you happy that the finance meeting on the 12th is okay to sign?
Yeah.
And what about the 7th? The 2nd? That's the one where, Lynn, you're going to read that, will you?
Yeah, I haven't got it in front of me,
Okay.
so.
Do you want it?
Um,
On second, yeah.
That's that one. I'll sign that one in a minute if they come back to us, okay. Okay, correspondence, any late received correspondence will be tabled at the meeting, is there any? Have we got any? No, okay. Right, matters requiring a decision by the council. VE Day, to consider organising VE Day celebrations. Yeah?
Yeah, Sarah and myself have met with Chris Martin in RA. We're quite happy to do a joint affair. The crafters already had the hall booked for the afternoon, so we thought it best to try and do a joint session from Fairlight, Parish Council and Residents Association. We've got a provisional programme made, which is going to run along the theme of open afternoon tea with two performances, short sketch type performance from the players, two lots of singing from the Village Voices. History Group are going to put on a large display to do with VE Day with a lot of historical information. We should have the big screen here showing relevant celebrations. So that would be in the afternoon between 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock. No, 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock. 5. The crafters are going to put on a table of sort of wartime make do and mend sort of things for people to play with, really.
Oh, machine gun.
Yeah, we can have machine guns, dismantle equipment,
Hand grenades.
and then church bells be rung at 6:30, and the beacon lit at 9:30 at night.
Okay.
We view it at the moment that we're just going to leave it open, that people can come and go at will. Basically, the only commitment the parish council really have to make is some help and fire of the hall.
Okay. Can
The
we-
FRA have kindly said they will do most of the catering and recoup the money from donations, but if they're out of pocket, we will,
Okay.
sort something out.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Could we have a proposal then that we carry on and we produce a VE Day contribution, celebration? Yeah, all in favour? Okay, good.
Just to sort of just say one other thing, it is quite an important one, and it is being made a bigger event than what perhaps it would have done for an 80th, because the 75th didn't happen in Britain because everyone was in lockdown.
In terms of help from the parish council, are you wanting commitment now or?
No, not right now.
Okay.
No, we've got to finalise the programme and everything, and get players to agree times and etc.
Okay.
So nearer the time, whoever's available.
Okay, is the parish council producing the schedule or anything?
I think, yeah, the parish council is producing the schedule, the official at the moment. Well, it'll be joint with the FRA.
Yeah.
All agreement.
All I was thinking, I know Chris is there, isn't he? Yeah, I know Chris is there, so, it's, we've got the parish council printer, which is very fast. We've got the paper, there's no reason why, that we don't produce that really for them.
No, fine.
Okay, anything else on the day celebrations, anybody?
Go on.
Just a thought,
Yeah, Jeff?
sorry, just a thought, would it, sounds a bit extreme, would it be possible, since everyone in the village carries a torch, to go down to the beacon at 9:30 and after that's lit, shine it towards France, and perhaps we could contact France and get them to shine back if that's possible?
Got any contacts over it?
Oh, do they?
So the Indians can come in.
Yeah,
Yeah, it might attract a few votes.
yeah, we'll bring some boats in. So,
Why not?
yeah, why not?
I do know that the local radio club are on the air all day,
Perhaps they could,
talking to people in France.
perhaps
Yeah,
they
you
could be
don't as
arranged
well.
through them.
Yeah, we could, yes, I could find somebody to supply, radio equipment of the period.
Yeah.
I know the history group won't have any, but I do know somebody that, stores a load of that, so, okay, yeah, I'll ask that as well. Right, any more on 6 VE Day celebrations?
I'm just going to say, I shan't be here for the 5th of May, but I'm quite happy to help out in some way in any some preparations you might be doing.
Okay,
Okay, it's the 8th of May. It's on the 8th of May.
8th of May, well, I won't be here.
You won't be there
I got the
either.
5th out.
Okay.
I'm not here on the 8th either.
Okay, fine. Okay, item 7, Finance and Administration Bidder Committee to consider dissolving the Finance and Admin Committee. This is something that I know has been bandied around for some time. Committees can't make decisions. The Finance Committee cannot make a decision. It has to take its report back to the Parish Council for the Parish Council to agree or disagree that it happens. To me, we're doubling up the work. Why do we want to double up the work? I don't understand that. I think there isn't a proposal on the table. It's just to consider dissolving the Finance and Admin Committee. So the Finance and Admin Committee will fall in with the the parish council committee, and it will come under full parish council meeting. We're supposed to be open and with everything that we do. I'm sure there will be a time when we have to go to closed meeting for some reason or the other, but the more that we keep it to a full parish council meeting, because not everybody can manage. If you think about it, I mean, we're asking the residents to come out in the winter time at the start of the month to a finance meeting, and then come out at the end of the month for another parish council meeting. It would be far better for them to come out at the parish council meeting to listen to all of it. Yeah? So the proposal is to dissolve the finance and admin committee. Any questions, Stephen?
Well, the question in my mind is, that logic applies to every committee, subcommittee that exists.
It does. It does, except that there are groups and there are committees that that do meet outside of this area and don't need to report for 2 or 3 months because nothing's happened. So it's not much point in carrying on with that type of thing. But the finance part is where is everybody from the parish council is involved with finance. That not everybody on the parish council is involved with other committees and other groups. So the parish council, full parish council, are only involved with planning, and it was the finance and the full parish council meeting.
Well, they're committed to planning and
Yeah.
the finance. The others are steering groups.
The only thing I can see is that sometimes it might turn out that the parish council meeting is exceedingly long.
Okay.
But that could be running ground if it is the situation.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think that we could take some of those things that are away from the parish council meeting at that particular time, which may be that they're important to talk about, but maybe the decisions that be made on them don't affect anything for maybe 2 or 3 months. So we could take that forward to the next month.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do need to make sure that we keep the parish council meetings to 2 hours. That's all that we're supposed to be doing. I was clearing out some more parish council meetings today, and they were running to 2 hours 45 minutes in 2012. So we don't want to go down that route. So the proposal is to dissolve the finance and admin committee. Yeah, all in favour? Yep. Okay, Karen, thank you. Okay, item 8. Oh, lovely. The budget 2005 to 2026. Now Jeff and Daniel have been working on this. Jeff has done lots of work during the year. Yeah, so if it's wrong, it's not Jeff.
No. That's the new one.
Do you want to finish that previous meeting discussion?
Only when Lynn's read it, yeah? Because if you're quite happy on signing
Well,
it ready.
the only thing I'm going to comment on is that there is ironically a confidential item at the end, which seems rather odd, that you can have a confidential item which doesn't appear in any minutes, which actually directly affected the future parish council, which was the discussions around appointment of new RFO and clerk.
And the finance committee.
That was finance committee, yeah. So it just seems odd to me that we've got a minute that says it's confidential, yet there were things which were significant. Should there not be minutes on that at some stage?
I had to do the minutes from video on YouTube because there were no minutes still on, so obviously I don't know what it said because they turned the camera off when no minutes were
No,
confidential.
absolutely, yeah.
So I don't really know.
Yeah, I mean, you can't possibly do it.
No.
Was you there at the?
Yes, I was, yes.
You were there. Were you there as well then?
Yeah,
Yes, Lynn was there.
July.
Am I not right in saying that under the last parish council, when it went into a confidential session, the minutes were short other than resolved? And I'm not too sure anything was resolved from that confidential session. I don't know. Obviously, it's all one.
Well, it was eventually resolved that the finance committee would only be 4 councillors, excluding Councillor Baker and myself. That was resolved. And also a few other things were resolved. There was a note put out on it, I think I've got it somewhere, which was broadly saying, what was it saying? Which I contested, as usual. I'll see if I can dig it out, because there was a note put out on confidential meeting, but I'll see if I can find it.
I mean, I propose, just to, you're the chair, I propose that Linda and I look back on our notes from that meeting, I certainly would have made some, and put any comment through to you that says this was what was said. Otherwise you've got a minute which says confidential meeting, nobody knows what was said or done, and there's no record of it, which seems a bit
I'm quite happy with that, because in reality, I wasn't there, and I shouldn't be signing it if the two that were there are not happy with it. Yeah. Okay, well, if you'd like to do that, and drop your notes, or whatever the case might be. I think what we should do is bring it up at the next parish council meeting as well. So if we've got the notes there, and they are, if they are highly confidential, then the chair will read them and sign them accordingly. No, I didn't expect them to be. Okay. Right, back onto budgets. Over to you, Jeff.
Well, I hope all councillors got a sort of spreadsheet you could have played with. I sent over on a very simple spreadsheet where you could have played around with numbers if so wished. There has been a few, after Daniel has got Rialto up and running and up to date, there has been a few minor changes, but not much. I don't know if anyone's got any comments from that first load. No. Otherwise,
I'll get Jeff to do that in just a minute.
yeah. Otherwise, for the sake of everyone, pop through it line by line. So expenditure first, because the income and the budget or preset possibility of the preset amount will stem from known expenditure. So salary and wages has, as you can probably see, dropped right back from this year's budget of 41,491. Calculation including the national insurance increase government's imposed on everyone and Daniel's latest rise because the National Association of Local Councils set a new pay scales from November. Should calculate to be about 23,500. The home base allowance.
So can I just ask, does that include the new increase in
Yes.
national?
Yeah. Home base has dropped back to the government suggested amount, which is 312. It was 480, but that wasn't the standard government suggested amount. Training has gone up to 3,000 new councillors and Daniel's silver training. Clerk travel has gone up 400. I think it's got to be respected that Daniel's base is really over in Hastings. So, and she's going to be St Leonard's, sorry. And also Daniel's travel will just increase anyway, so the amount there. Councillors' travel expenses up very slightly. We're hoping some more councillors will pop along to NALC meetings, etc. Chairman's allowance has dropped by £50. Historic usage that it's not really ever used much more than to the tune of 150, 200. Insurance, we know there's been an increase in insurance over the last 12 months with all insurances, car insurance, building insurance, any sort of insurance. So we've put that up just to cover ourselves. Audit, straightforward, that's the cost of the audit, one external, one internal, one external year. All hire has dropped right back We're only really now looking at possibly sort of one meeting a month, a couple of other, and a few other meetings here and there for steering groups. So we've cut that back. Reimbursement to clubs, that's just for anyone who doesn't know, is the Hastings football team. When they use the field, £50 a month goes to activate, basically, for use of the building. Stationery, 2,000. Danielle seems to think that's about right, isn't he?
I didn't put that in, I just left it, you put it in. It's the phone as well, but yeah.
Website costs, website costs, because of the new, I don't know how to word that, Steve, the new amounts a month, the new
It's a-
rental, whatever you call it,
Yeah, it's
on
for
the
the,
new, for
it's
the
for
new
the,
website.
it's to own the domain name, it's a .gov.uk website. We have to pay for the domain name each year, and we pay for the backup and maintenance of the new website, which is done every night, offline, so it should never fail. The website is a standard platform and a standard template, which this company that we're going with, they only produce this template to parish councils. They don't do any work for anybody else other than parish councils. There is a £699 setup fee and a £460 ongoing cost each year. The costs are 300. We currently pay just over £300 a year, so it's an increase of £150.
What about the initial cost of £600?
The 699 is to actually set it up,
Yeah, but is
move
that
all the
coming out,
data.
that's coming
No,
out this
that'd
year,
be-
is it?
That
That's
from
coming out
this
of this year,
Yeah.
So the 350 will cover the ongoing domain name. and-
460.
460.
460.
It's been amended, is it? Or is it?
Yes, sorry, that's what I said, there's some amendment, so I'm
Right, okay.
popping through the latest one. We can send it out, and, or Daniel can send it out.
Yeah,
Because
I'll send it.
if there's any more alterations now,
Yeah.
we can put them straight on.
Mhm.
Subscription, just a little increase. We can't see cancelling any at the moment. This year you do get certain amounts for device and protection under all the ones we subscribe to, things like East Sussex Association of Local Councils now, the specific one for clerks. And I'm afraid to say that's the cost of them.
Are we still continuing with that? I thought we were discussing not continuing.
We won't be discussing it here. We won't discuss it at this meeting, it'll be on the next month's agenda.
Yeah,
Okay, fine.
I mean, it can change. Don't forget this doesn't have to be accepted until
No, no,
January's
no,
meeting.
fine.
Election costs, 400, just keep building up that pot for 3 years' time, just in case, because it's got a shortfall. And it was, being suggested on the last 2 audits, it was a suggestion. Loan repayment is a standard, can't do anything about that. GDPR, we haven't looked into it, but we might have to do some, registration or something which can cost a little bit of money. Right, Woodfield. We've still got something to do possibly with the tennis court route to stop the quagmire down there. There's been calls for years and years and years about moving the goalposts and the goalpost and put a new net round it at least. Constant historic complaints of balls going into the swing park. The balls break the fence, and we're going to look at relocating it. The playground, that will cover £2,000, will cover the inspection, any small repairs. A lot of the equipment there is quite new now, can't foresee major repair expense. But the bark, even so, we put 3 hole builders sacks up there a couple of weeks ago. It could do another 3 hole sacks at £160 a time.
The problem is it can't be all new bark,
No, it's got to be
It's
grade
special
R.
stuff.
Motherwood, we don't need to have an inspection next year, so it's just money put aside for emergencies, you know, if you do get a tree come down in the storm, etc., etc. Dog emptying bins, cost is what the cost is, I'm afraid. Caretaker's contract, that is, you know, self-explanatory. Renewal and repairs, we've kept that a bit high because we do want to do a lot of asset improvements in the village next year. Some of that money will probably undoubtedly come from the still money, but we'd still like to keep a healthy budget for replacement of benches, and maybe help towards a new or heavily refurbished bus stops, bus shelters. Grass cutting, that's on the playing fields and roundabouts, etc., which we pay for. That cost has been locked in. I think we checked that out, didn't we?
Yeah,
3 years?
Yeah,
No,
2025, it started in 2022, they renewed
Yeah,
it.
so we've got another year
Yeah.
of a pre-signed contract with
Mhm.
contractors, and that's the price. CCTV, I'm getting there. Long story, which will all come out in January. Basically, we have a quote. I'm waiting for a firm. I'm only really waiting for a firm agreement for a unmetered connection with UK Power Networks. We've had a quote to do the work, which will be take out the broken lamppost and put in a proper electric pillar, and that is the cost, and then there'll be £40 running per month. Cliff generator. Where do we start with that? Probably all of you know, it depends on the amount of rainfall. It's been kept high next year because hopefully the repairs will now see all of the pumps working, which no doubt will be an increase in the electricity. You might note that, so there was £12,000 in the budget last year. The prediction is still only 4,400 of this year. That £12,000 prediction was a bit false or possibly misunderstood when the budget was set last year, because a year prior we did actually pay over £13,000 for the generator electricity, but that was a false figure because the council refused to pay a near £4,000 bill in 22-23. So that bill, that carried over and was paid as an extra bill in the year after, producing a £13,000 bill. So, you know, understandably, last year they thought, well, £12,000 should cover it.
Can I just interlude at this point?
Yeah.
No reason why anybody apart from them will remember this, but I put a proposal up that we should make a written report about financial matters, and that this was the item that raised its head, was the amount we spent, and I think that it's vital that what you've just said becomes not just on the record, but is written down for, you know, for the benefit of everybody to know it, because if it's a false figure, then people need to know that, so that going forward, you've got a far better idea.
Context of false figure, if you want.
No, you said it was something.
No, the 13,000 was the sort of over the years,
That's fine.
some years we've had 4 bills for electricity, another year we've literally had 1 bill.
Sure.
The RDC used to just put the bills out whenever they seemingly felt like
Sure.
it.
So that's fine, so people understand. The second point I was going to make is, there's a lot of money going out on this year on year. Is it something that we could look at, solar, electricity, etc., etc.? Is that not a feasible option to investigate?
I'm not too sure of any. It has been mentioned. I don't know whether anyone
And I
who
suggest,
knows it intimately.
and I
has
suggest
looked
we
into
ask the chair of the FPT, who's with us in the audience.
Yeah.
It has been suggested at FPT to do solar, but it's not practical, totally not practical to have it done.
No.
Wayne,
Good idea.
Because
I'm right in saying that That's what we decided, wasn't it?
It was discussed.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
it
It wasn't
hasn't-
practical.
Yeah, it was suggested, discussed with EKEP, the East Kent Partnership, who monitor all this
Mm.
stuff, and they said it wasn't practical. I can't help thinking that wind energy might be.
Or
Yes.
whatever, some sort of sustainable energy source.
Yes.
It just seems to me that,
I
you know,
think
when you're
it's-
spending tens of thousands of pounds
Yeah.
a year, some sort of sustainable energy source not only be sensible, but it's got to be something that government would support.
We have a
for
problem,
now.
if I can interrupt you, we have a problem there because we pay half, the parish council
Yeah.
pays half, and Rother pays half.
Yeah.
And we've had problems, rephrase that, Rother, are not prepared to discuss, the arrangements for electricity, because it all comes under one huge, negotiation with the electricity companies. And it doesn't, it's not just us, it's not our own little pot for the parish council here. It covers Rother Town Hall, it covers absolutely everything, all Rother stuff, and we're just a fly in the ointment effectively. So when we've tried to discuss with the lady at Rother, we get absolutely nowhere fast, because we're a non-entity as far as they're concerned. And I think that the computing to actually manage the pumps, do you agree, Trevor, would be too complicated to split into. I mean, I agree with you, but I think in real terms we're on a hiding to nothing, and we're wasting our breath and our time. It has been discussed, but
It's good you brought it up, but it has been discussed at
smashed out.
trust
sometimes.
level, yeah, but
We'd love it, but not bad. And you going back to say you think that if all the pumps are working, it might be more expensive. I suspect it might be less expensive, because at the
We don't
moment.
know how it's going to work, this is the
No,
problem.
that's what I'm saying, but if all the pumps, all 56 pumps are working, it hopefully be less expensive, because at the moment they're all trying to work and can't.
Yeah,
So they're
I
all
understand that.
kicking in, which is using power, so it's just,
Yeah,
if we can only get the reports in that we need, because we need 2 reports, one from somebody or other, I can't remember their name, and
the
then.
French company.
No, we need a report before the French company will then put their quote in, so it's somebody else, isn't it, who's.
can't remember.
Yeah, somebody
I
else
get
who's
confused
over
with
in
initials.
Crowborough or over there somewhere, who's doing, I've got the notes back in, and it's just driving me insane.
Well, yeah, I mean, basically, not all the pumps have worked for years, I'm right in saying that sometimes, it's been, some have been maintained and others have been blocked, etc., etc.
Yeah.
On top of that, we've had these hikes of electricity
Yeah.
increases. So it's very hard to judge what the usage will be.
Mm.
I mean, I can know for a fact that about 6 years ago, it was less than £2,000.
Mm.
So, and it depends on how much rain there is. Last year,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised it's only £4,500 so far predicted this year. But of course, that will depend on how wet the next couple of months are, and if RDC decide to bill us let it go before April, which we think they will. We think we're due for another bill, but we've estimated that one at only 1,800.
We're getting Rother to be helpful.
Oh, it's been a nightmare over the years, believe me, and all full respect to the last council. They tried hard. They tried very hard to get anywhere with RDC, and it's just they wouldn't even talk at one stage, would they?
Well, I think it's the FPT is struggling with them as well, so it's on 2 counts, so it's paying that.
Which is one of the reasons why we held back on the big bill payments 2-3 years ago, is to try and twist their arm to be more cooperative. It didn't work.
If this bill, I mean, I remember it from the times back in 2019, I know there was some controversy then, but if this bill is not only for the pumps, why can't they just bill us for the pumps?
Oh, they do.
There's
No,
a
it's the contract that.
Okay,
is
but
the
it's-
Rother.
But it's for everything that Rother uses, that Rother Town Council.
The contract that Rother negotiate with the electricity companies, which they've done on a 2-year basis, I gather, is for the whole of Rother usage, everywhere, everything, all their offices, everything, we're told. And we're just, to say, a flea in the ointment. And so, but they just bill us on 50% of the actual costs that our pumps use.
Which is a finger in the air.
No, there's a
It's
meter.
about there.
I'm pretty sure there's a meter.
There's no
Yeah.
meter. There was a
Just
meter.
That's where it is.
And we only literally pay the electricity and 50% of the electricity and 50% of the daily standing charge.
I think there must be a meter in the pump house,
It
isn't there?
must be, but I couldn't tell you where it is.
I mean,
Worth
the-
checking out, huh?
We will pursue it anyway, trust them.
Yeah, I think we'll see.
so as far as the other thing, oh, sorry.
Isn't it the case that there's a very high standing order and the actual electricity consumption is relatively low, but the standing charges are very high? Isn't that the issue?
As far as I know, it's the commercial.
It would be a commercial contract, it'd be business rates.
Yeah,
Daily
that's what
consumption.
that's why it's not so flexible, because it's not charged, and a vast proportion of the cost is a fixed cost and not a floating cost based on consumption.
I haven't seen the bills actually, so.
You could be
No, I
right.
did see it.
I think that was
I can't
raised
answer
in
that
previous
off the top of my head.
meetings by the.
I can't answer that off the top of
Yeah.
my head. I have seen bills before with a breakdown, I can't remember which was
I
what.
don't think they were understandable, were they?
Yeah.
They sent to this weird thing that we looked at and we thought, didn't seem to make sense to anybody. But perhaps when the next one comes in, we can have a short.
I was going to say, perhaps we should pick up on that
Yeah,
and have a review of that a little bit later on, because
Yeah,
stick your finger in the air and say it might be 1,800 or it might be 4,000. That's not fair to the residents of the village.
Absolutely.
No,
It's not right.
no, it's not, I
So
agree.
I think I quite like to follow that up. I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, fine.
Chair,
Sorry. Yeah.
yeah, just a quick one. The cliff generator, is that purely electric?
yes,
Is there a contingency for repair?
the repair. Scanner
Trevor?
off. The repair is basically paid by 90% of the repair bills are paid by RDC, aren't they?
they're responsible for it.
How many pumps are there?
It's a 50-year maintenance contract they've got.
How many pumps are there?
52.
How many?
do they all-
50 or 54?
I thought it was
54, 56?
In the
Do
50s.
they, yeah, one a week.
Yeah.
In the 50s.
Sorry.
Do they run in tandem, or do they run as and when?
They're as and when, I think.
There's
I can't,
a
yeah, you speak to the wrong person.
In this pump, as you go down the pump, there's a little lever, and if the water level, this is my understanding, I could be
Yeah,
checked.
you're right.
You're right.
Water level,
As
that's
the
what I
water
like.
level comes up, it triggers something and sets the pump off. So it's hydraulic, isn't it?
All of them, or
No,
Yeah.
no, just that one. Just so
All of
it's
them
a
individually.
all of them?
Yeah.
So they're individually.
individually, there's a
Yeah.
little meter. So each way, if it says, "Oh, we've got a lot of water in here," then off it goes. That particular pump.
Are the pumps regularly inspected?
Yeah.
Because my thinking is, if the pumps are not running as they should be, then the electricity costs go up.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
if they're running in tandem, not necessarily all of them and that, they're not
No,
working that hard then, are they?
They're not running in tandem. They're running individually. As each one, it triggers.
So as one burns out, another one kicks in.
No, it's the volume of water. So what reads on the slope, isn't it?
Hmm.
So if the water is going down, then it goes into different pots.
Yeah.
And most, I think I'm right in saying now, most of the pumps are not working, which is why FPT has been hassling Rother, who are, sorry Tim, really unresponsive. If I could just get
I'm not an
hold,
officer.
if I could just get hold of the person and lovingly encourage her.
So you just want the maintenance contract honoured then?
We're in discussion with Rother, who are in discussion with the French people, who would seem to be the only people who can maintain these pumps,
repair them.
repair and maintain. Yeah, sorry, Rother maintain, the French company repair. They seem to be the only people capable of doing it. And they were here this year to discuss that ongoing problem. And there seems to be this sort of breakdown of not just language communication, but a breakdown of comms between Rother and, I've forgotten her name now, the French crowd anyway.
Yeah, yeah. He's
It's-
still
it's-
born
Well, you've got a native French speaker on the council now, perhaps he
Exactly.
can
Oh,
help
yes,
out.
yes.
Apparently, they're saying that Rother have banned him from speaking. Only Rother can speak to them, which is driving me insane.
I haven't
As
heard
far as
that
I'm
one.
concerned, yeah. As far as I'm concerned.
Well, I believe Martin is heavily involved, isn't he?
He is.
Martin Usher, yeah,
Martin
he's,
Usher's
he's,
heavily
he's
involved
probably
with
the man to ask the technical questions.
Yeah.
He's fun, he and
Yeah, and
he's
I
fantastic.
get that every week when I ask
Yeah.
it as well.
But Dominic is on your council and he's also
Yeah.
on our committee,
I
so
get that. I get
you know,
that much as well.
that's one of the reasons he's bringing me on.
But I understand that Rother have forbidden him to speak. I don't know how it's changing.
Yeah,
The
okay,
other
well,
thing, sorry, Chair, just a little quickly, is as far as the maintenance goes, excuse me, chaps, as far as the maintenance goes, the maintenance is down to Rother, and any capital expenditure comes out of the pot that was left over from building the berms.
okay,
But that's that's how it works.
right, thank
So
you.
Rother don't want anybody else to get involved in that, but then they don't really want to do anything about it either. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
Is that right?
it's a really complicated long story. I think we
It
should
doesn't need to
probably.
be. That probably doesn't need
But
to
I
be.
think I think we can move that to another session.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Or we'll talk about it separately with Martin and everybody, because there's a big history and there's a lot going on, as
Mm.
Trevor will testify.
Well, yeah.
But I mean, going back to this budget figure of 8,000, because of everything that's just been discussed, it is pure guesswork.
Mm.
But to a certain extent, it's probably best to be safe than sorry, because I think it was only 3 years ago that the budget was for only about £4,000, when we got hit with £13,500. So, which had to come out of general reserves.
Mm.
Well, no, slowly from bits of earmarked reserves, etc., to pay for it. So it's probably a case of that is probably slightly exaggerated, even on a very wet year. Just nobody knows until they're all up and running, and hopefully,
If every pump was up and running, and working properly, then that bill would probably be a lot less than what it is.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
you know, but every pump needs constant maintenance.
Oh yeah,
It gunges up,
yeah,
and when that's gunged up, the next pump works twice as hard.
yeah.
You know,
Whereas my brother-in-law actually used to, he was a plumber on
Oh, it's your fault.
and he used to do them, but they're going back about 7 years.
Okay, right, I think we've done that to death.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, move on, Joe, please.
Section 137,
Hang on, where you gone? What about Christmas lights?
oh God, well, Christmas lights, yeah, £75, we all know that one. Notice board needs a bit of lip and polish. Speed watch. Personally, I've got a gut feeling that they've not been over-supported over the years. But we do now have the potential of hiring the black cat system in joint as a deterrent. It monitors anyone who speeds and doesn't record the vehicle, does it? Just records
Yeah, it's just because
the
of
speed
Just a speed.
and the frequency. And theoretically, you then give all of the information over to either the council, main council, or the police, and say, we have a speeding problem.
It goes to East Sussex Highways.
Yeah,
Rouge.
yeah.
It doesn't record who's been speaking.
No, it's just a monitoring thing,
Just.
but it also proves to be quite a good deterrent.
To determine whether a speed camera is needed in the area, really. But
But apart from the black cat, we do need a bit of money to produce some more signage, like the ones which recently have been put up, just to try and help or do anything to stop people speeding through the village. War Memorial costs, that's for starting their sort of maintenance fund, really. Grants, 6,000
Just a
on
quickie on the War Memorial then, John.
Sorry?
For the 24-25, the year we're into now, which is the year we're going into, is 25-26. Yeah. So I'll just make a quick suggestion or comment on that. I don't know how much money they've got left in the pot of the War Memorial, but the there's discussion going on about how it is protected. Now, nobody will know this necessarily, but somebody decided to walk all over the crosses last week, which has to be repositioned, which was very unfortunate. And there's discussion about putting, I don't exactly know what physically it will be, there's some sort of protection around it, whether it be some sort of rail or guard or whatever. That proposal will come from Hayden, I'm sure. But certainly I think that you need to think about two things. Number one, that, because if not, there's a potential danger of somebody walking on it, driving on it, damaging it, whatever. As I say, there are ideas, I don't know what they are, but there are ideas about what they should be. And the second thing is, clearly a piece of granite will attract things like lichen, and I think that will need specialist cleaning. Now I had the pleasure of cleaning it before the Lord Lieutenant came along, and it got quite dirty even in 2 weeks between being erected and being unveiled. So I think it would be wise to consider putting in some money for that. I can't say how much, but I think it's wise to do it.
Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, it's flexible. What we're talking about is flexible. So if people are happy to up that, I mean, the 250 figure, I must admit, came from a quick chat with Hayden, and I said, do you think that's enough to start maintenance funds? And at the time, admittedly going back 2 months, he said yes.
At this point, well, at that point, he probably didn't know, A, that people were going to walk on it or damage it or drive on it, and B, how quickly anything might grow on it. So, I mean, that's only a proposal, it's up to you, but I think that there will be a need.
I've asked the clerk to check the insurance to make sure that it's on their insurance and covered as well.
Yeah, absolutely, I asked that question some time ago, if you remember.
Do you think, should we put in 700 then for a rail and
It will be some sort of railing type of thing, yes, to stop cars. Because cars park every Sunday, every time there's an event, cars park on that bit of greenwork, always, always, always. Now, how good those drivers are, you can't be sure, I can't be sure.
It just needs something there, doesn't it?
So I put,
Yeah, I can see it needs something there.
how much do you think I should put in for it?
Personally, I'd put £1,000, it's £9 figure, and you know, I'd be very surprised if you get anything cheaper.
Would it need to be in some way fluorescent so that people could see it at night and not to?
I'm allowed to speak.
Yeah, you can, John.
I'm on the steering group, as you know. We're currently looking at a really substantial railing to go around it, which there's two things that happen there. We need a very strong railing, and some of these railings go missing, I'm told, the metal, and so there's railings that go into pipes in the ground that are fitted in the ground first, and they lock into that hole, that piece of piping. So we're looking at all of the alternatives at the moment, but we do need strong railings around it to protect it. Yes. And also, when it's windy, the reeds are going all over the place, as you know, you've been picking them up.
Yeah.
And when there's a railing round, it secures the reeds within the memorial, so it's useful to have a railing around it. Yes. And so, it's quite expensive, but the figures you've been talking about are very reasonable, you know. If you could raise it a little bit, I'd appreciate it.
Do you know if there's how much money is left in the pot?
No, I don't know at the moment. No, Hayden do.
Well, without anything to do with the cost of the food, the catering, there should have been about 1,500 left in.
Can I say that we've been talking to EB, and the thing has to be cleaned professionally every 2 years.
Right.
So that might be helpful.
Through the chair to John, I was under the understanding that there's already a contract built in for the cleaning of the stone for the next couple of years, isn't there?
But it's every couple of years it has to be cleaned.
So
When you
the
say
contract
built
might
in,
be-
Trevor, how do you mean?
As far as I'm aware, the money that's been paid out, my understanding is, I'm just an outsider, that it's been taken care of for the next couple of years, isn't it?
Is
The
included,
cleaning.
you mean?
I don't know what the budget is in a minute.
Now, hasn't it, as part of the payment for this stone, hasn't it been taken care of for the next couple of years.
I think it may have been, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be one clean, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So it's every 2 years.
Yes, yeah.
And that's basically like and growth.
Yes,
that's
yeah.
right.
Yeah. And cleaning out the lettering as well and that sort of thing.
So the lettering, well, there is an additional name that has to go on,
yeah.
which is probably, well, it will come out of the existing fund. But that lettering will fade over time.
Mm.
So that has to be redone. Now, we don't know how much the cost of that is yet, but they have said that you need a professional clean every 2 years. And of course, you need to do it more often because wind residents make deposits, and you know that has to be cleaned as well.
Mm.
And that's something that people just do. I do it, go and then wipe it down. You know.
Yeah.
What they're suggesting is the names, when they did the names this time, then they put a sealant over the top of all the names to protect them, and that lasts a couple of years. So after the 2 years, that they then clean all the names from the images, the black, and then they clean it and re-black it, and then they put another seal over the facing of it. So that's what they do.
Okay.
It's ongoing,
Yeah.
as all things.
Well,
That cost.
I happen to know the director of a local company which deals with that particular type of marble or granite. I will have a word with him and see what. It's not going to hurt, you know. He's not going to charge me for it for having to talk and chat to him. So,
No, good idea.
Good idea.
yeah, I would have a word and see what the situation is. I mean, if it is built in with the agreement, it is clean in the next couple of years, then we haven't got to worry for another couple of years.
Probably
But,
not. No.
There is also a guy which cleans all the war memorial.
Yeah, that's the war commissioners,
sites
isn't it? Yeah.
In the park, isn't it? In the cemetery.
Yeah.
That's all he does. He doesn't do anything else
That's
other than
it.
clear the war memorial sites. It might be a bad idea to get hold of him to see what he thinks as well.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Nice job. But he's probably employed by the war
No, he's not
commissioners,
employed
isn't
at all.
he? He does voluntary.
No, he does it all himself. Yeah, and
It's Steve. Is that the guy that you see come up on Facebook from
yeah,
time to time?
occasionally, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and he goes and does individual graves, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all he does.
Yeah.
So it might be a bad idea to have a chat with him as well, see what the situation is. As far as I know, he only charges for the materials that he uses. He doesn't charge for his time. But if I see it come up, if you or I see it, perhaps we contact him and put him in touch with someone. Sorry, Dick.
Yeah, that's okay. So we'll put that up to 1,000 then, are we saying?
Yeah.
So we're gonna.
Good question mark, I think.
I don't think it'll be a problem, it's just a case of the next one, section 137. Where do you start, section 137? The likelihood is we are going to go through a few months of not having power of competence. When you don't have power of competence, there are certain things you can't just go and do on your own back as a private individual, because when you've got power of competence, the parish council can act like a private individual up to a great extent. So I think a good example may be, say, called the path up to the woods. Now, if it's ours, we own it, the parish council own that path. But there's outside parties which can get involved. So if you don't have power of competence, the rights of way people could say, no, we don't want that. And you're stuck. So, but to be able to pay for certain things when you haven't got power of competence, all councils use this pot called section 137 money, which is sort of an amount a parish council in the olden days was allowed, which actually works out about £81 per head of population. So you could have multiple thousands in this pot, and you are allowed to spend that how you wish, to put it simple. So just to cover ourselves when we're in a period of, possible period of not having power of competence, we just thought of boosting that up to, for any unforeseen eventuality we need to spend on. If that makes sense to anyone.
The biggest part of the power of competency, as Jeff has just said, is we can act as an individual. We can, if we wanted to, and we got the people, the residents of the village to agree, we could actually go and buy the post office and run it under the parish council. If we don't have the power of competence, we can't do that. You can, but we can't. But that's what that gives us the right to do, if we so desire. Yeah. Go, yeah, Tim.
Who issues that?
Who
Who issues that? How do you gain power of competence?
You have the clerk, the clerk or RFO has to follow the rules and regulations and undertake qualifications for silver.
Right.
So what happens with power of competence is that you have to meet certain criteria, and as Steve just said, one of them is a silver qualified RFO at by the assembly, by the parish council assembly. If you don't meet that criteria, you lose it. But if you've achieved it 1 year, regardless what happens during that year, you have it for the whole year. But it's very unlikely, unless Danielle really wants to do an awful lot of extra hours, and you can twist the course's hands, it's unlikely that we'll have a silver qualification come next May, which will be our parish assembly. So
But
we'll probably lose it from May all the way round into the following year. But it's
Unless Daniel gets the silver agreement, and then it starts from there until the following year, then it continues on.
Yeah, that's what he just said.
So it's,
Can you evoke it from the minute that you meet the criteria, or
once you met the criteria, you're covering it there immediately. Yeah.
No, so as soon as Daniel's got the silver, we'll go back and be fully fledged.
No pressure, Daniel, don't worry about it. What's the money for? Why do we allow money for it? I've always been unsure on that. Why do we allow it?
Because there could be some expenses we just can't go and do without our confidence.
But we haven't got anything in mind.
We haven't got anything in mind, but there might be something which crops up, which once you've lost our confidence.
So if we can't do it,
So you
how's it
can't.
going to cost us money?
Well, no, because you can use section 137 indiscretionary.
And why does that cost money?
Why does it cost money? Because things cost money.
That's a crystal ball guy thing.
You can. It's really hard to get your head around, and I can't explain it very well, I have to admit. Basically, it's a pot of money a parish council without power of competence from you. Because power of competence only came in 2011. Before that, parish councils, and if you've got a village council as opposed to a parish council, you'll find their section 137 is up into £10,000. So there's certain things you can use it on indiscriminately, near enough, if you lose power of competence. Whereas when you've got power of competence, you can just say, well, that comes out of the grass cutting budget.
Okay. How did we get to 2,910?
Because I don't know, Danielle might answer that one.
I didn't put that in, you put that in.
Huh?
I didn't put that in,
It
you
was
put
in
that in.
before.
Perhaps, right, well, it's probably just
Did it
to
round
make
your
sure
figures
everything's
up?
balanced.
Yes, that's what I was just
But
thinking.
saying that, it is the ideal pot to maybe take the 750 and put it over to the War Memorial. I mean, it's unlikely that we'd need to use it, but if you did,
Yeah,
then you've got a bit of money
So
there.
could that potentially be used for an extra grass cutting if we had to?
But it could be used for anything you want. That's the beauty of it. Over the last few years, there's only ever been a sort of constant £400 amount, and most of that has actually gone for donations which don't fit our grant policy.
Right, okay.
So do we reduce that?
I I would say so. It's the easiest way to reduce that by 750 and put the 750 into the warm and then we'll keep it straight. So when you go back up, so the bottom line figure on expenditure is 78,962, which on the income, bank interest is going to look very good by the end of this year. But we just lost £13,000 and recently £14,000, so it is going to go down. It is going and the interest rates are dropping slightly next year, what will be dropping during next year. So we think over the whole year 1,500 is more likely. Fees for use of assets, that is just Hastings Football Club, that's what they pay, £150 a month. 100 for the council, 50. Yeah.
Oh, because we haven't finished the, expenditure.
Oh no, we've got another page. Sorry, yeah, okay, nothing major there really. It's been suggested for years that the parish, that a council has a legal or consultancy fund. We used to, for years and years and years, there was £3,000 in the fund, which disappeared last year. I think something swings, I'm not too sure. But in view of everything which has happened in recent months and what could potentially happen in the future, we just thought it's prudent to maybe build up some sort of consultancy legal advice fund. £5,000 isn't going to do much if it did come to it, but it's a start. Just what people think, really.
Seems sensible. Seems sensible to me.
I mean, you know, it's not enough to do a legal fighting, but it's definitely should cover a lot of consultancy. Anybody got any comments? No. And
Open-ended, isn't it?
Huh?
It's open-ended, isn't it? You start onto that sort of thing and it can cost you a fortune.
well, yeah, but we'll build it up. You know, maybe another whatever each year if it's not used. I mean, if you look at a lot of parish councils, they have anything between 10 and 25,000 quite often in the funds, you know, as part of the earmarked reserves. We haven't.
Does seem
Just
sensible
think it's a
plan.
good idea to start on.
Yeah.
Neighbourhood watch, flyers, posters, uniforms, if people want to do something on the beach, mate. It's just to show support that, you know, we want to fully support the neighbourhood watch. And printing anything takes a bit of money these days, let's be honest. So as I said, the total expenditure at the moment then still remain the same at 78,962. The income is self-explanatory. RDC Luxury has shown a bit of a decline in recent months. So we just thought be prudent, don't overestimate it for next year. Which at the moment will give us a preset need of 74,867, which goes right against my OCD, Daniel.
Right.
75 would have been nice, whatever. 74,
Well, I think
867.
I think we did speak about trying to keep it 75 if we could.
Yeah.
If it does go down to 74, so be it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the residents' money, it's not ours.
Absolutely. So we'd make a saving on last year or this year's of just over £20,000.
I'll please a few people. I'll please a few people.
Well, the people that should please are the residents, because they don't have to pay quite so much money.
Sorry, Lee?
What would a potential decrease in the budget be in terms of what people see in there or the district bill?
Oh, I did actually work it out. they haven't produced it yet,
They
rather
haven't
will
produced
give
it
out
yet.
their tables yet, but I did actually work it out. I can't remember what it was,
But it's
but it's
reduction, that's
only
the
on
main
band
thing.
D. I could only work it out in the band D, and there's probably about 5 band D properties in Fairlight, so it's rather irrelevant. I've always thought
As long as
that
it's a
anyway.
reduction. It's,
Oh, it's a reduction.
That's
Oh, yeah, it's a
what
reduction.
people want to see, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's 20.
Which is what? Oh, that's-
Yeah, it's a percentage reduction, you'll notice, which will stick out most when you get your tax.
So it'll be about 21% or something, 20.5%.
Yeah,
Well, it's excellent, isn't it?
20.5% reduction, yeah.
yeah, it's about 20% reduction.
Danielle's just mentioned something, just to interrupt, the brambles, etc. Is there enough money in Old Wood for that to cover, should we need to get somebody in to cut a lot of brambles out?
I was just thinking when you go into the field, I can't remember the entrance, so I'm not in the area. But all there's quite a lot of brambles hanging over, and I just wondered if there's anyone to do stuff like that, maybe we could put in something for stringing or hedge cutting if we need it.
Is that going in for the main entrance, you
general,
mean?
They go
Through
into
the
the field from the
Where's
path.
Bowling Green, from Bowling Green?
Me and Carol walked there, and I can't remember where exactly it was.
Were you driving?
No,
Did you
walking.
go
No, we
over?
walked
Was it a big path or a little narrow one?
a little narrow one.
That's the one at the middle way.
Yeah.
And there was lots of brambles hanging over them, and I just wondered,
Oh, what on the right hand side, at the top.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then there's probably other places where that it might need trimming or maintaining, or just trimming back now and again, bushes and stuff, and I wondered whether it'd be worth putting something in for, like general, just general maintenance.
Could we ask?
Round
Well, you've
the
gone down to
Yeah.
500, no, you've gone down to 500 on Old Wood. I mean,
But we should just put another section in. It's up to you, obviously, I just thought I'd throw it out there.
Could we ask? Could we ask Sue?
so,
No, Sue's always said she doesn't want to get involved in Woodfield, and I've asked over the years. I mean, it's the sort of thing we've done by just a load of volunteers in the
Yeah.
past. We've done it quite often actually.
Okay.
So I think we could do that by volunteers. quite easily.
right, is that it, Jeff?
Yeah, but I just think it's up to the council as well on how we put this out, possibly put it out to the public, if everyone's happy or there's no major alterations. I think it'd be good for the,
No, it won't go out to the public yet. It's got to be confirmed by the Parish Council first.
In January.
No, just
yeah,
asking
but get it out
opinions.
to the
weren't
public in case
you?
anybody,
You were just asking opinions as well, meant you?
I don't know, that's what I'm asking. Does Parish Council think we should or?
Can we ask the public that's with us what they think?
No, it's up to you, you're the Parish Council, you decide. Do you want the public to know what you're doing now, or wait till it's been confirmed by the Parish Council?
Confirmed on the website.
Sorry?
Confirmed and then on the website, so everyone's got availability for it.
It's up to you, you decide what you want to do.
You know, transparency, everybody should know where it will go.
Yeah,
Can we
absolutely.
ask?
Oh no, it will be on the website,
Yeah, that's
but
fine.
whether or not we should put it out to see if there's anyone who's got any major feedback.
Not net yet. Oh, no.
No,
I don't think it should go out until, it's been before the full council meeting, and
Can I-
confirmed as a budget. I mean, what's the point of putting something out now when you're not quite sure whether it's really confirmed?
Can we?
Oh, it'd be better just to leave it until such time.
yeah.
It's completely fine.
No, I'm just thinking of different transparency angles. I mean, last year the Parish Council put out a blank one and asked people to, almost fill it in. Which was a novel idea.
Can I mention that in the previous council, it was suggested that if people attended the parish council meetings, that they would have an input into
Yeah.
what we're saying. So what I'm saying, if we say no, we're not going to do anything, we're not going to ask their opinion at all until it's all done and dusted, that's a bit late. Whereas if we ask the public that is here today, because it was announced that we'd be discussing the budget, so if we can ask the gentlemen that are with us today, if they've got any comments.
Okay.
constructive comments, then that would be helpful.
Okay, so open to the public. Anybody's got any comments on this? Yeah, we've saved you £20,000 plus.
Personally, I think that's good enough, what Jeff has
Mm.
explained.
I mean, we cannot agree it tonight, it can't be
No, I
agreed until
understand.
January anyway, and there may be some fluctuations, you know, up and down, that maybe the councillors spot something that we've missed, or that it should go down or it should go up, but it's not going to range a great deal from what it is, because we already said when we all came on board in September that, you know, with the ex-clerk going, other bits and pieces that aren't necessary to be done, we will try to take that budget down £20,000.
How much?
We've done that.
How much in reserves have we got?
So not
I
now.
don't know.
Because
I can find out. I haven't actually looked into that yet, sorry.
No, don't apologise, it's just because I understood previously there's a hell of a lot of money.
I still think an end of year projection is going to be a total of about 130,000.
So,
But that's with
Split with different accounts.
It will be split in different
yeah,
accounts,
yeah.
which Daniel was currently dealing with anyway.
that
But
includes.
don't forget, £51,000 of that is pure still money.
So I think that's quite healthy, and
Oh, yeah,
going
it is
with,
healthy.
going with the 75, in my
Yeah.
opinion, is the
Yeah.
right thing to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a problem sending out a draft thing, putting it out to, possibly using the FRA if they're agreeable, and, the website as a draft copy to say that this is what we're currently working on. Comments, please. So, I don't have a problem, you know, but it's entirely up to you.
And if
Chris
it's,
wants to say something.
Hang on a second. Just hang on a second. You, Michael.
I say, if it's made plain that it is a draft and it's not actually finalised, and that we welcome comments, then that's fair comment, isn't it? My feeling was that, you know, people would still be able to comment after the budget is finalised. At the end of the day, it is a budget, it's not the actuality, not actually what we're going to spend. So it is only, with all due respect, you know, a certain amount of guesswork involved in the sort of expenditure we're likely to have. But, you know, by all means, if it's made perfectly plain that it's not written tablets of stone at the moment, and then people are welcome to comment, then it might actually be helpful to us.
Yeah,
You know,
okay.
if people say something.
Yeah, fine. Chris.
Yeah, the FRA would be very happy to circulate it for you,
Okay.
but don't be surprised if you get 500 different kind of answers. And I'm just
Well,
considering your officers' time.
That's going to be expected.
Yeah, I just don't want to put your officers through
No.
Yeah.
500 different. Why can't we take £5 off
Well,
of
it'd
this
be
and
nice
stick
to get
10 on
500
that?
comments. Yeah.
But if you want
It'd
something,
be nice if they took that kind of interest.
But the big-
if you want something to go out, have I finished my bit?
You're not going to be able to change it either.
Exactly, because it will need to be on an agenda to be spoken about if someone has got a comment about something before we can agree to budget for it.
Unless we send it out emails, unless we email everybody on it.
You're not going to hit everybody, are you?
No, I mean the council.
I think
Oh,
people
right.
are going to ask us to put money aside for stuff that relates to them and their area where they live, whereas we're trying to keep everyone happy over the whole of their life. Do you see what I mean?
I think perhaps what we do is just send it out and say this is the suggested budget, and then people that are really don't ask for comments, because you'll get comments anyway from people that feel strongly, but you won't get people sort of thinking, oh, what can I say?
Okay, well, here's an idea. Why don't we just send out what it was last year
Yeah.
as a grand total, and send it out as a draft with the total that we've currently got now.
Yeah, good idea.
So that shows the residents of the village that we have made a reduction. I was always told that budgets do not go down. Crap. sorry, they do go down, and we just proved that they can go down. Yeah. So if we were to send out just the grand total of what the budget was last year, 99,000 or whatever it was, I can't remember. Sorry? 95,000.
Oh, sorry, no, yeah.
I'll do that.
And send out what we're thinking and looking at now.
Sorry, Chair.
Chris, have you
Yeah.
finished?
Go, Chris, yeah?
Yeah, in the spirit of moving forward, it's probably best to, I would suggest, that your committee come to a decision about what they would like to propose as the budget for next year. Just send that one out. To send out last year's one, probably, I don't know how effective that will be, but if you
Not
send out,
detailed.
this is what we've
Not
got.
the detail.
Not the details, just
Yeah,
the
okay, but
turnaround
it
stuff.
just say, this is what we're going to propose as a budget for next year. We'd like you to think about it, and if you're happy with it, this is the way we'll go. If somebody says, I want £10 knocking off of the swings and roundabouts and adding to the war memorial, then you can deal with that as it comes to it. But to make it
Okay. Is everybody happy with that?
be my
Yeah, or
suggestion.
not?
Yeah, I think in hindsight, I wouldn't send out the breakdown.
No, I think
No,
we just
I'm
send
not
out the
saying
total, like, as you was, I'm still with what you said, Steve, that we send out, last year was 95, this year we're planning on 75,
Yeah.
just thought we'd let you know.
Are you happy for that to go out? Yeah? Lee?
Yeah, I don't honestly see the value. I mean, if we say to people it's going to go down, what are they going to say? Well, I don't like that. They'll say, okay, fine. But it's the detail that matters. And it seems to me that everyone here has been elected, appointed to come up with a budget. Make it perfectly transparent after the event. But I think the point is made. You get, yeah, it'd be nice to have 500 comments. You won't get it. But if somebody does want to make comment, I'm not sure it's going to change your mind unless there's something significant missed. And I think Jeff's well enough experienced to have put everything in. So I don't really see the value of sending it out, because I think people say, you know, they're going to vote for motherhood and apple pie. Yes, of course they will.
Yeah, I take on board what you're saying, but
Just generally.
based on what these our residents here, they're all nodding in agreement that yes, 75 is well done. You've done a good job. I'm not expecting anybody to come back and say, well, I want 20,000 put aside for X, Y, and Z. I'm not expecting that. I'm not expecting anybody to come back and say, oh, well, that's very nice either. I'm expecting detrimental comments to come back saying, well, you should stick, it should never go down, it should always go up. That's rubbish, complete rubbish. You know, this is residents' money, they should know what it's being spent on. Yes, I don't think we should send out the detail, but I don't see any reason why we can't send out the gross of what it was last year, the gross of what we're hoping to achieve this year.
I agree. And then just say that it would be decided it would be decided at the full parish council meeting in January, and the details will be circulated after that. Yeah?
To me, that's open and transparent.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
I can't get any better than that. Ian?
I agree with what Steve said, and I agree what Chris said as well, and that, and what you've just highlighted there, and that, you know, what it was, what it is now, or what it could potentially be, and that, and the saving. You're going to get questions whether you ask for them or not, aren't you?
Yeah.
And
Doesn't
then,
matter what you do.
Exactly, exactly. I think if you ask for questions, then you possibly get a few more. I don't think you will get 500, like Steve said. Some people that may not just pay the bill that comes in every February or March, and that they just pay it. They don't even break it down and what's paid to the police or whatever, and that. So, you know, I think the fact that you're saying to them, look, we're going to make possibly a 17 or 18% saving on the precept, I think people will be happy with that. They'll ask questions amongst themselves, won't they, and that as to what, well, it'd be good if you spend money on this. It's then up to them to let you know what would be their thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard one to win, so I just, what was at the back of my mind was the amount of negativity on the percentage increase on last year.
You're not going to please everybody all at the time, are you?
Went, you know, quite nasty actually.
But everybody should be happy in that with the savings that you've made on the budget.
Everybody in the village will see a reduction in their rates.
As long as Rother don't take it.
I think if you can,
I can't control that.
For a public toilet.
again, I think if you can back up the reserves figure,
Okay, well, we'll get the rest of the figures finalised by Jeff and Daniel, and then we'll do the business with the FRA and stick those two figures as draft figures for 25-26 on the website as well. We'll put it on the top of the page.
Well, yeah, they're in the draft.
Huh?
As I say, it is only, people remember that, it is only draft.
Yeah, it'll be clearly highlighted draft figure.
Good news for the new year.
Whatever, yeah, we can send it all out. Okay, I think that was it. We'll just check the paperwork. All right, the date of the next meeting is the 28th of January. Do we know when these budgets need to be in? Okay, so the work will all be done by the end of January anyway, so just to agree.
Obviously we'll update them by then, and then hopefully there's not too many changes, and we can just go through and agree it.
Okay, fine.
But also there'll be other stuff on the agenda as well.
Okay, thank you. Well, that's the end of the Parish Council meeting here. Thank you very much. Thank you for the residents for attending. And if you vote for you while we're next year.